there was originally I didn't want to come out. A couple weeks before they'd asked me to go, I just, I kind of wanted to let things play out. I didn't really, I'd never been out to the Midwest for the most part, and I'd never been out to Chicago. I was very hesitant to go out there just because I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But the second that I got off the flight and Josh Barfield picked me up from the airport, like it was. I mean, I was wide eyed the entire week. I mean, I was there for 3 days, and when I was leaving the field after Montgomery's walk off, I had told them I wish I could have stayed for another week. But the whole experience, being able to go to dinner with Getz and Barfield, being able, they dropped me off at the hotel right after dinner, and I'd sat and I walked around Chicago till 2 a.m. Just trying to understand, what it's all about and see everything that has to come with it. And then, the next day getting to sit down with Fuller and then, walked again for 5 more hours before the game, and then being able to go to the game, meet everybody, see the stadium, meet the players, see the dynamic. I left, the next morning and called my agent and told him that, that's where I want to be. And, just he's got to do whatever he can to make it work because I know that that's where I want to be. And I hope that they feel the same way about me. So, being able to work it out in the long end, I mean, the tears were all happy tears. I'm very excited to be a part of it. I fell in love with the city while I was out there, and I'm very excited to get back.
That was Chicago White Sox first overall pick, Roch Cholowsky, which he'll be joining the organization. And on Sunday, along with Landon Thome, who the White Sox selected 34th overall throughout the first pitch on Sunday's game. So quite the weekend for both, quite the weekend for the Chicago White Sox. I'm Josh Nelson alongside Jim Margulis, the managing editor of Sox Machine, and our beat reporter, James Fegan, who is in Philadelphia covering the All-Star Game festivities for us at Sox Machine. Again, we cannot thank our Sox Machine subscribers enough. Thank you for your subscriptions as it allows us to send James on the road to be in Philadelphia to cover the games for us. And he just got a chance to chat with Caleb Bonnemer, who is part of the Futures game in Philly. It's been a very busy weekend for us at Sox Machine. But let's start with what happened on the field for the White Sox as they sweep the Sacramento Athletics, and in very convincing fashion. So they get swept, James, by the Boston Red Sox. They only scored 2 runs in those 3 games. Then they turn around and they hold the Athletics to just 2 runs in 3 games. It really felt like the White Sox needed a sweep to rinse out the bad taste from the Boston series. And as far as like statement series wins go, especially as far as Friday, how did the clubhouse feel after that big win against the Athletics?
I mean, they won like 1-2 or 1, and Tristan Peters hit a cycle, so they were in decent spirits, I would say. Um, it's just kind of like we're looking at this like through our lens of like how are the White Sox doing, whereas like Boston is like as basically the hottest team in baseball.
Yeah.
Went and swept the Mets as well,
What
despite
is it now? 9 straight wins?
I believe so.
Yes.
It
Wow.
was like 8 of 10 when they were coming into the White Sox. So, what is it? 14 out of 16 or something crazy.
Wow.
Whereas like the A's look like they don't want to be around anymore. They lost Brent Rooker to the season like a couple weeks ago, and then Nick Kurtz like has this malady pop up where he's on the IL and he's gonna miss the All-Star game. And you had Sean Burke openly saying like, yeah, lineup's a little different. Basically just challenging everyone with heaters, like trying to make sure the bases are clear when Soderstrom and Langeliers are up, but otherwise I'm good. He didn't say the I'm good part, but that's like the subtext from it. Like this became like a lineup that's pretty short in terms of like things he really has to worry about. So like in some respect, like people complain about a team like playing. People complain about a team in any form, but like playing down to their competition. The White Sox are doing the opposite of that. Like they got beat by a team that's playing amazing, and they crushed a team that wished the break was 2 weeks earlier. So yeah, they certainly look better. Certainly, like in terms of like the way Martin and Burke like wound up with the same first half, so to speak. Because they have exact
Yeah.
same ERAs. I think Burke has a little bit more innings, but like they came to it in different ways. But Martin pitches in that series where they look out of sorts because he's kind of dragging to the finish, and Burke is like pitching out of his mind to get to the end. You kind of had like your starters who were you had kind of a flip in the dynamic, though. Obviously, no Schultz had kind of a get right outing with the A's as well. But yes, it looked good. Yes, they got Murakami back. Yes, that was like provided a jolt, and they had two guys added to the All-Star team, and that was like a lot of excitement and momentum as well. There's also like you could just say like, hey, they played a team that's playing great. The Hawk Harrelson, when do you play them line? They
Yep.
played a team playing awful, and as bad in Jonah Heim, who was basically cut from the Rangers for not hitting enough for a catcher last year, as like cleanup in half of these games, and they just look like they can't mount anything or really stop anything. Um, Even like JT Ginn on Sunday, he's having a really good year. I wouldn't question that there's ability there, but you watch him, it's like this guy is like misfiring wildly with 91. This doesn't seem like it's going to work, and then sure enough, it doesn't. So it feels like maybe they haven't swung so much in the week as much as their competition has.
Well, the White Sox are 50-45. And when you compare it to where they were at the All-Star break last year, Jim, the White Sox are already 19 games better in the standings than they were a year ago heading into the All-Star break. So quite a few highlights. None bigger than Tristan Peters hitting for the cycle, Jim. And we talked a little bit about this during the live stream when we were leading up to the first overall pick. But just how improbable it is for Tristan Peters to produce the way that he has for the White Sox, and now he is an all-star. What do you make of this sudden honor for Tristan Peters to be part of the American League All-Star team?
It's surprising on a couple levels. There's just the matter that Tristan Peters was acquired for cash by the White Sox, and usually those deals don't work for them in any meaningful sense. So the fact that he's gone from afterthought to, even during spring training, more of an extra player, somebody you might see over the course of a season, to somebody who is suddenly an integral part of everything is a shocker. Also, like a shocker that he made the All-Star team just because he is like kind of not a product of wins above replacement, but like everything kind of reflects his value. His defense, his offense, his doubles more than homer power, but he's hitting a lot of doubles. Like everything, he's generating a lot of value in a lot of ways. But aside from his average, which is over 300, nothing really stands out. It's the entire thing. So it's cool that as you see some remnants of advanced stats versus traditional stats, counting stats, etc., that Peters, who probably would be largely overlooked were it not for wins above replacements in other seasons, just because he has 6 homers, because of the platoon situation, he found himself early, didn't really rack up the counting stats in like the other, triple crown categories or even hits. Like he's even a little late on plate appearances for an everyday player. The fact that you look at the wins above replacement leaderboard, especially for rookies, and he's snuck up on everybody uh, as they're trying to figure out replacements for the All-Star team. It's cool that somebody like him, who is a well-rounded player who's contributing to the White Sox in so many ways, does get recognized like that.
And then, yeah, so looking at Peters' stats so far, 301 batting average, as Jim mentioned. Peters has got 20 doubles this year. And he's got 3 triples along with his 6 home runs, 36 RBIs, and he's got 5 stolen bases. I mean, he's never been that big of a base stealer, but I think it would kind of surprise people if Tristan Peters did find himself, Jim, hitting 10 home runs, but 35 doubles is 40 doubles within reach if Tristan Peters continues to hit for power that he has in the last couple of months.
Yeah, possible. Especially since there's nobody really challenging his playing time.
And then the other big highlight on the offensive side for the White Sox was the return of Munetaka Murakami. Not the greatest series. James, you mentioned that the reason why the White Sox wanted to bring him up for this series before the All-Star break was to break some rust. There's a lot of rust for Munetaka Murakami. He struck out 7 times. He was 1 for 11 this weekend. He did walk twice. He did have an RBI on Friday. You were there on Friday. A lot was going on for the White Sox on Saturday. How did Munetaka Murakami look to you?
Like, yeah, rusty, like on time, like, not that he doesn't have swing and miss on the fastballs in the zone when he's rolling, but like he certainly was doing that a lot in a way. Like he looked like not quite up to speed. Like maybe this is his 5th game in the last like 6 weeks.
Got it.
thing. But it's funny, like him talking about the home run derby. He was like basically saying like the invitation was on the table for a while, and I was on board. And really, the only question if I could do it was um, if I got back off the IL before the All-Star break. So in terms of like motivation to get him back, like he wanted to do this thing. Like he immediately said yes, and the added incentive of him clearly being in line to be an injury replacement for the All-Star game is another thing about being back off the IL. I think he wants to be here. Like he's I don't even think that's like, is it a selfish thing? But it's more like he came to the US to like basically try to conquer this league, to try to test his skills. So being part of this showcase, I think to him is part of what he's doing here. Maybe more so than it's this the way we see it as like a crowning achievement of a career for like a domestic player. So I think some of it was like, yeah, let's get some real games in. One, he's healthy. It's been 6 weeks. He got cleared. He ran the bases. He got through like full game fine. But not that like he's using these games to get up to speed for the All-Star game, but like if he was going to do this because he'd be healthy by it, he'd want to actually like play a little bit and face some live pitching. So maybe the positive thing is like the White Sox scored a bunch of runs, granted against a pitching staff that I want to use euphemisms for not wanting to be around and not actual terms, but a team that's looking pretty run down.
Looking like the White Sox we've seen White Sox teams like that of just crossing days off the calendar.
Yeah, I was doom scrolling recently. I came across someone who was sharing the clip from 24 of Lenny and getting hit by the practice throw. Yeah, he seemed like a notch above those vibes, but like not many. I don't know what my point is. I get distracted by so much the A's are struggling, but the positive is that like, hey, the offense ticked back up again. It was very worrisome against Boston just to see them kind of get stomped like that. It wasn't because they got Murakami back. That what they look like when he's operational. Really, when Teal is looking like what he was in the second half last year, that hasn't quite happened yet. Teal's clearly better than what they were getting from offensively catchers already, just by means of getting hits in games. But I as much as like, man, here's their A offense. It may it, and it's not how baseball works. You never get everyone just like hot at the same time. Like Davis Martin talking about the rotation, like they haven't all been hot at the same time at any point this year just yet, and it's not a given it ever does. But you haven't seen that yet. So theoretically, hopefully, there is still a level that they get to, at least in terms of consistency, from getting Murakami, from getting Teal, maybe back up to what we've seen the height of their powers be.
Maybe the home run derby helps for Murakami to know what it's like to hit a home run again in a MLB stadium since it's been a while. Any chances of that?
I mean, I did think that with him being unimpressed with the final series, like it was proof that, okay, you can't say you ruined him.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a team that has Mike Hassel wearing 3 hats. I said Hassel because of all the hats, and celebrates home runs with a sex song. So I don't think a home run derby gets Murakami's mojo going is like any less scientific than other things they have going on. They welcome all approaches.
Call 312-6-million. Injury law made personal. That's Ankin Law.
It's going to be a fun home run derby. I do like the fact that both Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber are participating. I think that's a great idea, especially with the All-Star game being in Philadelphia. It'd be great if, we've been comparing the two ever since he got on this heater for the White Sox and how he started Munetaka Murakami and Kyle Schwarber. That would be one heck of a final if those two were able to make it that far in the derby. And of course, Schwarber is a well-seasoned veteran when it comes to the home run derby, but it will be fun to see on Monday night for Munetaka Murakami how he does in the home run derby. And of course, the White Sox return to action after the All-Star break in Toronto. We'll talk more about that later in the show. With all this offense that happened this weekend, Jim, and it seems like whenever Sean Burke does start, something fantastic happens. offensively that overshadows what he does on the mound. But it is 7 innings, only one earned run, which was a home run. Burke didn't walk anyone. He struck out 9. He's hitting 99 miles per hour with his fastball. In his last 7 appearances, Sean Burke only has a 2.90 earned run average, 55 strikeouts over 40 and a third innings. In his last 2 starts, Jim, Sean Burke hasn't walked anyone. It's 13 innings, 20 strikeouts, no walks. I have to admit, I did not see this coming from Sean Burke. And it just feels like this kind of race on who is the best starting pitcher for the White Sox. And James mentioned that in a moment ago. It kind of feels like right now the baton has been exchanged between Davis Martin and Sean Burke. If the White Sox need to win a game now, I feel like it's got to be Sean Burke, right?
Yeah, and on one hand, that's probably good, just because Burke has always been the one who's the better bat misser. So if you're looking for somebody to start a postseason game, to start a key game, to not be subjected to just batted ball luck or bad defense or what have you, that Burke would be your better bet. So I think if you're looking at who's leading this rotation, you'd rather have it be something like Burke. And the fact that he's gone and earned that title with just dominating performances, and he's really looking like he's feeling it out there, just the way I kind of judge it by, and he's speaking of unscientific. I like watching how pitchers respond to strikeouts. Like I always like Dylan Cease, how he tucked his jersey into his pants, like very like he was bothered that he had to throw the pitches to begin with. You're messing up my jersey. I can't wait to get back to the dugout and have my fit look exactly like I want to. I like seeing that. It seems like Burke, now that he's kind of like just looking at center field after striking guys out, just turns his back on them. And with challenge fastballs, or like with really good stuff, he's not lucking into strikeouts, or he's not letting hitters outguess themselves. He's challenging them. Like I like that the home run that he allowed was, it was to Soderstrom, but it's you have a lead, you don't want to walk anybody, you're behind the count. Just challenge him. He did, and he gave a homer that time. But like for the most part, his challenges are working because his stuff has life. His fastball has a lot of hop to it, and then everything is playing off the fastball. And it seems like the fastball unlocks so many things for him. But he spent how many years wrestling curveball versus slider versus cutter, and now he's like throwing all 3. He's throwing the cutter without giving up anything, and now he's got 2 different kinds of sliders, and it just kind of all fell into place. And it seems like, James has written about this with his mechanics and the fact that he's, if he's throwing 99, that means his mechanics are right. If he's throwing, 94, if he's struggling to hit like 96, that means everything else is kind of off. And yeah, he's been sitting high 90s for a while now. And based on how he's throwing, this is a guy who can lead a rotation even when Davis Martin's better.
So, James, I don't know. Have you gotten any insight on how the White Sox could possibly be reshuffling the rotation? Everybody's going to have extra days of rest. At this moment, I don't know if Davis Martin's going to be a late addition to the All-Star team. If he's not, and we talked about, what was that?
It'd be very late.
Be very late, right. But with him needing extra rest because he feels gassed, with the way that Burke has been throwing, could the White Sox maybe it's just too soon to be wanting to set your rotation up for the postseason, but everybody's got more rest than usual. Does Burke start that first game for the White Sox after the break?
It is too soon to start ordering your rotation for the postseason. To that point, like as far as like maximizing who needs rest, Burke has been saying like off the record repeatedly, like I feel great. I'm recovering better than any point in my year, and certainly like the way like after his last start, he's like, I don't want to break. I want to keep going. I'm rolling. Like someone even like friendly suggested to him, like, hey, are you happy to like get a few days off? And he's like, no. So like he's in a really good spot right now. So like the idea of like him being someone who like seems like the most closed mouth in terms of needing to get fed. Sure, I would agree with that. The last time I talked with Bove, I spent all my energy geeking out about how Jordan Hicks looks recently, so I did not
He has
ask
been
about
looking
the
good.
rotation order. My bad on that. I get caught up on my own fascinations. But in terms of what you're putting down with like who looks like they are ready to go, I think Burke certainly fits that bill. Anthony Kay is, one, been pretty consistent with his velo all year, and certainly has been healthy all year and has a pretty good, innings base from last season. So I think he's right up there with him. But Burke is, he's been sitting 99 for like 6-7 innings for 3, 4, 5 starts now, and yeah, that you feel good about that for sure.
And someone that impressed over the weekend, Shane Smith for Charlotte. So maybe the White Sox will have an option internally to help out with the starting rotation. We'll know more about what Will Venable wants to do with the starting rotation later this week after the All-Star break. But man, Sean Burke has just been on a heater. And as far as cap tips, Jordan Hicks, he was lights out again on Sunday. And I think he threw 14 pitches, James, 12 for strikes. I think his first 10 pitches that he threw on Sunday were all strikes. Hicks is just throwing 100 miles an hour past everybody in that Athletics lineup. Now, I know you mentioned a few times already. Yes, it's the A's. But is there like a different mentality for Jordan Hicks right now where he's just going to, moving forward, just challenge hitters with velocity?
It's a mechanical thing. So
Okay.
mentality comes from that and confidence and whatnot, but he was lower arm slot earlier in the year, and like they were like he was really excited about that. Like, this feels more natural. This is what they think is going to like, give me more sync. But clearly we saw the results were not there. Like, he'd have some, like his first inning he'd come out be 100, then I would like probably if you brought him out for a second time, like you'd probably see him dip a little bit, or you weren't seeing 100 every time. And obviously spraying the sweeper, and he wasn't really like using a four seamer at all. It was almost all sinkers. And not to belabor the point, we saw Jordan Hicks. He was not good at the start of the season. Mostly in terms of control, his hard hit rate was very low. Like, as much as he had to like do challenge fastballs, ball behind the count, like all the time, like it didn't lead to a lot of home runs or any hard contact or anything like that. To his credit, while everything else was kind of blinking off. Then he goes in the IL as well, so it didn't necessarily keep him healthy. So now he's not quite as high as he's been in other parts of his career, but they're like, he thinks he wanted to go up a little bit higher, and that was like feedback they said that they got from him, and they tried it out. We're seeing the results, but like, to break it down, we're seeing the four seamer come back, and he thinks it's playing, like he's getting right on it in a way where it's an effective pitch that he's comfortable using out of the higher slot. The sinker is sinking less. There is a sacrifice, but it's canceled out by the fact that there's now two fastballs you have to cover. So like the fact that like he's getting a little less drop on it is counteracted by the fact that people are like cheating up with their barrels to get on the high heater. He feels like the slider is a bit more later action and getting whiffs. And obviously he's I think he's walked one person since coming off the IL. So in the zone rates are pretty similar, but zone rates aren't really would tell you a walk. He's getting ahead of counts. He's able to attack in the zone. It looks a lot better. And his last outing he hit 101.6 max out. Like he felt like he was adamant through the process, even without like not hitting it, that he wasn't getting to his top velo because he didn't feel good or he didn't have health. He felt it was in there, and now we're seeing it in there. Like 101.6 gets rounded to 102 on the broadcast, but
yeah.
I think I think that's a gimme territory if you're hitting 101.6 that your best velo is back. 101, 105 would be great, but he didn't promise that. He thought more like he could sit 100, 101 again, and it looks like he's doing that. And the basic follow-up question I asked at the Bove and Venables, like, Jordan Hicks has pitched in leverage before. He's done a little bit of closing even before. Like, doesn't this, like, they pitched him in the sixth inning of a blowout again, which it's the last game of the first half. I don't know how much you can really assign like roles to that too much, but like, doesn't a Hicks that looks like this reinsert himself into your leverage group? And that's not to be, oh, the real trade deadline edition is Jordan Hicks pitching well again. The real freedom is the friends we met along the way. Something like, whatever. Like, I wouldn't say that, but doesn't this guy like insert himself into this leverage mix where we're talking about this as more than just Sir Anthony Dominguez and trying to get him back, and then Sean Newcomb, Grant Taylor, and Brian Hudson, and then the rest is kind of mixing and matching where you see a fit or a good matchup that works for it. So they have generally been like, yeah, why not? We certainly would explore that. We haven't necessarily seen, and maybe there hasn't been the best opportunity for it. They've either been not scoring at all, so they're trailing against Boston, or obliterating the Athletics. So the second half will really, show it. But I think it has to be like, we're all seeing this. Like I think it has to, be tested at some point.
Yeah, Sir Anthony Dominguez also pitched another scoreless outing for the White Sox. So if those two can get back on track, that definitely helps out the end of the bullpen for the White Sox. Additional cap tips on the offensive side. Braden Montgomery went 2 for 4 on Sunday, hit a home run and drove in 4 RBIs. Jim, I mean, we just continue to rave about Miguel Vargas, 5 for 12 this weekend, 3 doubles and a home run, and 3 RBIs. We're running out of things to say, but we have to do our due diligence and still tip our cap to him, because it's like, again, so much happened this weekend. It's like, oh, by the way, Miguel Vargas almost hit for 500, and he had 4 extra base hits in this series.
Yeah, the home run was off a position player, but he's had so many warning track flies or just missed it, or you see like the follow through, and from the center field camera, you're briefly optimistic until you see like the head slump right before the camera cut, and you realize like, oh, he didn't get enough of it, and it goes like 340 feet to left center. So he's had enough of those, I think, to where he could take a position player, just throwing junk and go to town just to get the homer that he missed from previous swings and make up for it. But yeah, the other hits were valid / key, important, driving the ball, adding runs on the board, adding to his stats, all good.
Yeah, and on Saturday, Chase Meidroth had the game-winning hit as Colson Montgomery scored on first base. It was the only run scored. So Meidroth's RBI double was clutch. And Andrew Benintendi went 2 for 7. He had 2 doubles and he walked twice, drove in 4. He scored 4 runs. So when Benintendi got on base, he was scoring. So great weekend for the White Sox. Again, they are 50 and 45 heading into the All-Star break. And again, those All-Star festivities happening in Philadelphia.